The time to act is now. That's the message of survivors of last week's school shooting in Florida. On Wednesday, the nation witnessed grieving students, parents, and teachers powerfully confront the president and lawmakers over gun control in pointed and often tense televised exchanges. The day began with students across the United States, from Minnesota to Colorado to Arizona, walking out of class to demand stricter gun laws. They carried signs reading, "Make us safe," and "Bring on the politicians, we will rise." Students at Coral Springs High School formed a giant human heart on their school football field, as did students at Cooper City High School to honor the 17 victims of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. Meanwhile, survivors of the shooting descended on the Florida State Capitol in Tallahassee to demand lawmakers pass legislation addressing gun violence before the legislative session ends in 2 weeks. This is student Cheryl Accaroli.
Dear Congress, how can you claim to stand for the people but let your kids get slaughtered like animals in their own schools? Why is it that every time we make a step forward, you force us back? Dear Congress, how many of the thoughts and prayers I have received do I need to check in for some damn action? Because thoughts and prayers don't mean anything without something behind it. And to be quite frank, thoughts and prayers won't stop my brothers and my sisters from dying. Dear Congress, who will die next because of your lack of action? Who will you murder next? Because your lack of action is causing people to die. The next person who dies because of an AR-15 will be on you.
In the afternoon, President Trump, along with Vice President Mike Pence and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, hosted a listening session with survivors of recent shootings, including students at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School and parents. Speakers at the White House included high school senior Samuel Zeef, who survived last week's shooting.
I don't understand. I turned 18 the day after, woke up to the news that my best friend was gone. And I don't understand why I could still go in a store and buy a weapon of war, an AR. I was reading today that a person 20 years old walked into a store and bought an AR-15 in 5 minutes with an expired ID. How is it that easy to buy this type of weapon? How do we not stop this after Columbine, after Sandy Hook? I'm sitting with a mother that lost her son. It's still happening. In Australia, there was a shooting at a school in 1999. And, after that, they took a lot of ideas, they put legislation together, and they stopped it. Can anyone here guess how many shootings there have been in the schools since then in Australia? 0. We need to do something, and that's why we're here.
During the listening session, Trump suggested the solution to school shootings is arming teachers.
It's called concealed carry, where a teacher would have a concealed gun on them. They'd go for special training, and they would be there, and you would no longer have a gun-free zone. Gun-free zone to a maniac, because they're all cowards. A gun-free zone is let's go in and let's attack, because bullets aren't coming back at us.
Among those who objected to Trump's plan is Mark Borden, who is a father who lost his 7-year-old son Daniel during the Sandy Hook shooting. He's the founder and director of Sandy Hook Promise. This is Borden speaking during Wednesday's listening session with Trump.
This is my son Daniel. He was 7 years old when he was shot to death in his first grade classroom in Sandy Hook Elementary School, just a little over 5 years ago. My wife, Jackie, could not be here today because she's a school teacher, and she takes that job seriously and sent me as the ambassador. Jackie is a career educator, and she will tell you she has spent over a decade in the Bronx. And she will tell you that school teachers have more than enough responsibilities right now than to have the awesome responsibility of lethal force to take a life. Thank you. Nobody wants to see a shootout in a school, and a deranged sociopath on his way to commit an act of murder in a school with the outcome, knowing the outcome is going to be suicide, is not going to care if there's somebody there with a gun. That's their plan anyway.
On Wednesday evening, survivors of the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School sparred with politicians during a town hall hosted by CNN. This is shooting survivor Cameron Kasky questioning Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio in one of the most powerful exchanges of the evening.
This is about people who are for making a difference to save us and people who are against it and prefer money. So, Senator Rubio, can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future?
The positions I hold on these issues of the Second Amendment, I've held since the day I entered office in the city of West Miami as an elected official. Number two, no, the answer to the question is that people buy into my agenda. And I do support the Second Amendment, and I also support the right of you and everyone here to be able to go to school and be safe. And I do support any law that would keep guns out of the hands of a deranged killer. And that's why I support the things that I have stood for and fought for during my time there.
NRA money? More NRA money?
That is the wrong way to look. First of all, the answer is people buy into my agenda.
You can say no.
Number second, well, the influence of any group.
We're going to be here all night.
The influence of these groups comes not from money. The influence comes from the millions of people that agree with the agenda. So the millions of Americans that support the NRA and who support gun rights.
Sorry, Senator.
Guys, if you...
Cameron is having a conversation with Senator Rubio. Let's let them talk.
Listen, I respect... You can ask that question, and I can tell you that people buy into my agenda. I will answer any questions you guys have about any policy.
Right now, guys, be quiet. You know. And
I just think that ultimately that is not our goal here. Our goal here is to move forward.
Wait, so hold on. So right now, in the name of 17 people, you cannot ask the NRA to keep their money out of your campaign?
I think in the name of 17 people, I can pledge to you that I will support any law that will prevent a killer like this.
No, but I'm talking NRA money.
No.
So that was Cameron Kasky questioning his senator, Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to Fort Lauderdale to speak with another person who attended the 7,000 capacity town hall last night held by CNN. Shana Rosenthal will join us. She is a former intern for Senator Rubio. Her New York Times op-ed is headlined, "I interned for Senator Rubio. Now I'm begging him to act on guns." Stay with us.